Hi guys, welcome. So everybody wants that magical quick fix, right? The quick fix to bring anxiety down, the quick fix to get a strong body or flexible, quick fix to what is the right diet. One of the things that's become challenging in this world is that everything has a lot of things that state quick fixes, but the reality is the fast way is not the easy way. It often leads us astray in the long run. So the other thing that we need to know, what we did in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on is always going to be different. So there is no one set rule. If I was to say to you a couple of valuable tips to help you to be fit, to help you to find what brings you health in your mind, body, and soul. 1, breath work. I would try a breath work every day, and it only has to be a few small minutes. So a couple of the breath works I like is 1, 5 in, 5 out. Inhale and exhale. 5 in, 5 out. This is a great one to do when you're angry or just when you need to calm the nervous system down. Sitting there for a minute will make a huge difference. Another one is the sigh. And the sigh is one that really helps us to embody and bring back ourselves into the present moment when life or our mind takes us away. I like to add the hug with it too. So I have one hand here and one hand here, and I like to do a little bit of stroking called the havening technique. This brings us back into our body, and the sigh is inhale again, and exhale. So it's going to look like this. For me, I can already feel my system calm down. And another one I like to do is two different versions. One is more towards, I like to call it the vagus nerve breath. So you inhale for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 6, and you hold for 2. So it looks like this. Exhale. Hold. And repeat. This is a way to get into the parasympathetic nervous system, and doing it a couple of times will really bring down the nervous system. And the other one I like to do is that you will inhale for 4, hold for 8, and then blow out like you're blowing out through a straw. So inhale. Exhale. The triangle breath. And this one also hits the vagus nerve as well. So this is the first thing. Find one of those breaths or a breath that you can do for a minute or 2 every morning and any time that you get overwhelmed. The second thing I think that's really important for health is the ability to find music and to hum or to sing. This touches on the vagus nerve, and it's also something that we can naturally do, and that stimulates the vagus nerve through the throat area, but it also stimulates our fun and connection. And our fun and connection affects our HRV, it affects our mindfulness, it affects our health, it affects our regulation, everything. So that's the second thing I would suggest that you do. So all of these are free tips. Now the third and fourth ones are to do with exercise and nutrition. The first thing with exercise is to set regular exercise. I think I have a hair on my eye. Now the regular exercise is that you will go and do something a couple of times a week for a minimum of 10 minutes for the first month. Whether it's flexibility, it is weightlifting, body weight, walk, whatever. The most important thing with exercise is consistency. Once you have your consistency, Then you can play with the variabilities like intensity, time, the way you do it, what different things you want to incorporate. But you must have consistency to have success. If you want to learn a handstand, you must do a couple of times a week. It's better to do a couple of times a week, a shorter but quality, than one times long. So that's with exercise. And with nutrition, start by trying to just increase your water. When you've done that for a month, then start to look at your meals. Are you increasing and getting enough fruit and veg? So maybe in each meal, add an extra fruit and veg. Start with that of what you can eat. So the reason I don't give a diet and I don't give a nutrition plan that everybody can do is because everybody's are different. There's joint pain, there's issues for your way you can eat. So for example, for me, with regards to all of the things I'm going through, I am not able to eat flaxseed at the moment. And flaxseed is a very healthy product, but because of my gut is needing repairing with the autoimmune issues, flaxseed, avocados, 2 healthy products, are actually something that I need to step away from because my body doesn't process it well. And then in time, as I repair my body, I can go back to those. But for now, that's something I need to step away from. So that's not to say that the product itself is healthy. What it's looking at is, okay, I've done some tests. The individuality of my body is stating these things are hard for my body to process, which is very normal because I've always struggled with really high fat things in my body that would make me feel unwell. And these things like flaxseed don't hold the nutrients, which I'm struggling to hold nutrients in my body. And therefore, so I need to look at other alternatives. So like hemp seeds, for example, instead of flax seeds, I'm going to do that instead. So it's really important to understand that nutrition is a case-by-case status. And, you know, when I was younger, I could eat those with no problem. But now as I've gotten older, my body's changed. I've dealt with some issues and now I have to recalibrate. And nutrition is like that when you take things out so you can repair your body, and in turn, the idea is to be able to have a little bit of everything, but to know the things that cause you issues. So I have a friend that's gluten intolerant. They can have a beer and be social every now and again, but they get incredible amounts of pain if they have too much. Every now and again, as long as they eat what they need to eat in their body, they can go and socialize with friends and have that beer, but then they have to go back to being gluten-free. So it's not that gluten is bad, but for this person, gluten is an issue, or for autoimmune patients, gluten is an issue. But gluten itself, for a healthy body or a body that can process things, is often okay. Again, in my 30s, I used to be a lot more gung-ho, used to be able to do a lot more. So I used to also probably do more exercise in a day. As I've gotten into my 40s, I still do a lot of exercise, but I've had to change it to quality over quantity, and I've had to listen to the days when I'm tired and take those days off. Now my body is still fit, I've still got strong and healthy body, but I'm not doing as much as I used to. So having a strong, healthy body is the sum total of healthy habits for a long period of time. It's not the sum total of perfection. Having a healthy mind is not that you're not going to get anxiety. It's not that you're not going to get angry. It's not that you're not going to feel dysregulated. But if you practice breathing every day, and then every day when you start to get a bit of resistance or anxiety, you're going to start to rewire over the nervous system. And rewiring the nervous system over a year means that your performance will be better, your focus will be better, your reaction to people that frustrate you will be better, your stress reaction will be better, your HRV will be better, and all of those things encompassing. One of the things they also say, which is really important to note, if you deal with sickness and illness, if that sickness and illness is generally longer than 4 months and becomes chronic, a lot of it is to do with the nervous system. And the way that is really important to understand is, so for example, in my household, we had some really hard experiences, and although I still love my family and upbringing, they wired me to the point where I would always feel like I am doing wrong. And that meant that I always tried to fix everything. And over time, I've had to learn that that's causing me a lot of anxiety, a lot of high heart rate, and a lot of inflammation. And as I started to take a pause and trying to fix other things and work on myself, take a breath, knowing things don't need to be fixed straight away, also knowing that emotions, I have to feel and allow them in the space even though I don't feel comfortable, because emotions were also something that were not really a part of our life or accepted, because they in our family tend to, be ignored. So I've had to learn to sit with that discomfort and the emotions, and I've done that. I've watched as my restoring body has gone into restore and relax, instead of always being engaged when I look at my my details of data when I assess them. So I've been able to bring myself into restore more and more by just simply doing that mindful practice. So often we are looking for what medicine, what is the perfect breath, what is the perfect nutrition, what is the perfect exercise. But it all starts with perfect micro shifts. And I say perfect because any micro shift that you make that is different from the one you're currently doing to re-regulate your body, to do your breath, to do your exercise, is a perfect shift in the right direction. And the sum total of those beautiful micro shifts add up to a big change. Now, it's not going to happen in 30 days. It's not going to happen maybe in a couple of months. It's going to take 6 months, a year, or even 2 years. But over time, it's going to happen. So start with those micro shifts. Start with the small details. And also start with finding the possibilities rather than the negatives. If you see someone's exercise program that they provide here for free, do one small step. You might not be able to do the pistol squat that they have or the push-ups, but you can do push-ups on knees. By finding the possibility rather than why you can't, you're living your goals and your possibilities rather than your excuses and regrets. And that's very important. The way in which we respond to everything and the way we're accountable. The more we are accountable for the things that we can do, the more likely we are to have the shifts in our lives and our bodies. And the other thing is to understand that relationships are also important. But the only way to have good relationships is by how you respond. And that can mean setting boundaries, that can mean stop being so frustrated, that can mean a whole lot of different things. But the world changes when we change, and that's the one thing that we often don't look at. We often look for everything outside of us. It's the same when we're exhausted all the time, but we're drinking coffee, we have music with our exercise, we do a training product, we're overtraining, we're not having a lot of rest, we are scrolling on our phones all the time. These are all dopamine hits, and then eventually they are no longer dopamine hits because they're normal, and we just feel fatigued all the time. So start by taking out these things, and then do that for a week or two. You'll feel absolutely shithouse, but after that, you'll start to feel good again. And when you put the music on and you train, you'll be like, geez, that's great. And when you have that 1 cup of coffee, you might not need your training product if you're a training product person, because you have energy enough from the coffee. Or maybe you no longer need coffee and you no longer have the ups and downs or the training product. So start by shifting those things. If you're struggling to sleep at night, become more accountable for the way in which you scroll on the phone. Now, we don't have to do it perfectly. If we're not an athlete that needs to get that millisecond, when you wake, don't have caffeine for an hour. Make sure you don't sit and scroll on your phone. Make sure you do this vagus nerve work. Make sure you do this breath work. Make sure if you're an athlete, that's your job, then sure, that millisecond counts. But when you're a regular person, sure, have your coffee if you like your coffee, but look at how many you're having. And it doesn't have to be an hour after you wake. Sure, if you had to go on your phone because you had to check one message before bed, that's not going to impact you too much. But if you're on your phone scrolling through Facebook and all those things, that's definitely going to impact your quality of sleep. And you have to be accountable to stop those types of things. So remember, your way in which you choose to respond and choose to do things is really the key that is going to change your life. But so much of us are like, I can't because of this and this. You can, but do you choose to is the question. Have a great day. Namaste.